by the water.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Bacon. Welcome to the show. Check this out, y'all. If jealousy and envy creeps into any situation you have, whether it be family situations, money situations, people in the streets, whatever you might be doing, if jealousy and envy creeps in, it is going to tear everything down. Period, point blank. And I don't think a lot of people talk about that as much as they should, right? And this story, this one is about this guy named Kevin. He was from this city, like I'm going to say, it was about the size of Atlanta. And him and his 8 friends, they started selling dope when they were teenagers, young people, you know what I mean? But they were vets now. They had been in the game for a while and they all understood what was going on. They were all well known and well established. They all had their taste of jail or prison. You know how that goes, right, when you're in the game. And then some more than others, though, in and out, all of this whole kind of stuff. But through all of that, they remained loyal to each other all the way through. And even though they were all friends, Kevin, he really wasn't known for his business savvy. Everybody had a different role to play. But Kevin was more like the muscle. When they had a problem with another crew, Kevin took care of that. When they were having problems out of one of the guys at the spot or something that they ran, Kevin would go take care of that. Now, what each one of them did didn't matter because they all still split the money evenly. All of them, no matter what they did, right? There's no big eyes and little U's, so to speak, if you know what I mean, right? But the thing about all of that is this. When you're doing things like that, it's always an alpha male situation and then everybody else, okay? And Kevin was part of that everybody else. He didn't understand what his role was to the extent that his friends didn't care what it was. They were all in it together. But over the years, he noticed how some of his friends got more attention from the women. How some of his friends got more attention from the other people that were in the dope game. They really didn't talk to Kevin about the business side of things, you know, making the moves and the routes and the money and all this and that. Even though he didn't get a nickel less than anybody else, he just wasn't the one that they went to when they needed to work out the plans and move stuff and all this and that. When they had a problem, they send the hammer. Kevin was the tip of the spear. Go take care of that. Up until the point that Kevin started to feel this jealousy and envy, it was all good. The guys didn't even know that he felt the way he was feeling. So one day, here's how the story goes. One day, Kevin was just pulling in to this store. It's like a convenience store, let's say that, right? He had just pulled in, and there was some guys out in the lot. And they recognized him. Like I say, they were well established in the neighborhood and people knew who they were, you know. So they spoke to him. Hey, what's up, Kevin? What's going on, man? You got anything for me? He ran in and he came out of the store. And when he came out, he said, yeah, what y'all looking for? Now keep in mind, these guys, excuse me while I take a sip, right? I gotta keep something on me because I still got a little cold. I don't know what's going on, y'all. But anyway, it was understood that Kevin and their crew, they didn't sell stuff to people, you know, just walking up and down the street. They wasn't like that. They wasn't corner hustlers, right? They had houses throughout this area that they hustled in, right? That's how they got their money. It was well organized, a well-oiled machine. But they all would have stashes, you know, when they might want to smoke some weed or something like that or whatever, right? You know how this thing goes. So when they hollered at Kevin, these guys that were standing outside of this store, he like, yeah, what you looking for? Man, we just trying to get a little something small. He said, man, follow me. I got y'all. I'm going to take care of you. So they followed him to the spot. Now that's a big no-no in the game, letting people know where you're at and letting them know what you got. He didn't really pay attention to the people that were outside this store. Yeah, they called his name, but he really didn't know who they were. He wasn't a personable type when it came to the business, right? Like I said, he was the muscle. But he was so caught up in them knowing who he was and calling his name, he wanted to do something to impress them. So he told them to follow me. So they followed him to the house. He comes back out the house. He got about 4 zips of some weed. Finna break bread with him, you know what I'm saying? But when they see him come out the house, they put the pistol on him and push him back in. Catch him totally off guard. Not understanding what's going on. But he knows that this is the lifestyle that he chose, and this is what in some situations can happen. But because he was so longing for somebody to see him, he got blinded to the realities of his situation and the lifestyle that he chose. So when they pushed him back in the house, they robbed him. They tore the house up. They found a little bit. It wasn't a lot in there. It wasn't a lot, but they robbed him. And it bruised his ego. Now keep in mind, he's the muscle of the crew that he belongs to. But after that happened, word started to spread in the streets. Kevin got robbed. Now, that is the worst thing that you can have happen to you. Well, one of the worst things that you can have happen to you when you're in the game. For people to hear about you getting robbed and you doing nothing about it. So now he's getting pulled back into the gutter side of the game. He's being pulled off the business side of, but he's getting back into the gutter side of the game. So when his partners, when they all hear about it, they give him a call and tell him to come to the spot, little private spot that they have that nobody knows about. They all get to the spot. They ask him, "What's going on, man? What is this I hear about? Some dudes in the streets robbed you for some weed." He tells them what happens. They laugh it off. They look at it like, "Oh, no big deal. They got your weed stashed, blah blah blah. You should have known better." You feel what I'm saying? And they ask him, "Do you know who they are?" He really didn't even know who they were. So now they're looking at him like, "You slipping. What's going on with you?" Now these are his friends. They've been friends since they were teenagers. But he felt like he couldn't be honest with them and tell them that he felt good when they recognized him. They called his name. And he lowered his guard. And he didn't pay attention to what was happening. He couldn't tell them that. So he told him, he said, "Man, they just called me slipping, man." So one of his partners asked him, "How did they even know where you live? How did they know where your spot was?" He tell him, he said, "Man, they were looking for something, man. I told them to follow me." So they all looked at each other and looked at him. And they're like, "Well, I'm not understanding what it is that you're trying to do, man." So he gets upset. He said, "Look, forget it, man. It's over. It's done. They got me. Don't worry about it." Now, the crew, they said, "Cool. Let's move on." But Kevin, he was on a mission now because he knew the streets were unforgiving. They wouldn't be as understanding of this situation and forgiving of this situation like his partners were. He knew in his heart that the streets had labeled him as somebody that couldn't take care of business. Overnight, like that. So now he's looking for these dudes. He know what they look like, but he don't know who they are. So he's riding around the city looking for these dudes. They're younger than him. You feel me? No heavy hitters. They just trying to get some weed. Some old young stick-up kids. So he runs across them. And he sees them. So he runs down one of them. Chasing after him in the car. The dude is running. He chases him down in the car and hits him. Boom. Gets out of the car. Beats him. Not realizing that when he hit this boy with this car, the boy can't move now. And he beats him. Beats him real good. And leaves him there. And the boy don't die. But it's a witness to the whole thing. They saw him run over this boy with the car and then get out of the car and beat him. So the call goes into the police. Now they're looking for Kevin. They're looking for him. And now he's on the run. Now the crew is like, what is going on with him? What happened? He just failed. Because they didn't realize, and he didn't want to share with them, that he was feeling some kind of way about his role in all of this. He wanted to be seen. Now y'all need to remember that because it's going to be important. He wanted to be seen. And that's what most people in the criminal game do. They want to be seen. They want to be heard. They believe that nobody sees them, that nobody hears them, that they have no voice, that they don't matter. That's what we do. That's what we do in this criminal world. We confuse ourselves and we lie to ourselves and we end up doing things based on the lie. Based on the lie. So now Kevin is running. He's dipping and dodging. Like I say, this is a city about the size of Atlanta. So he can stay in the city, move and groove and dip and dodge and stay away from the police. They're looking for him. The crew still got him. They're holding him down. He's got, money put up so he can dip and dodge for a long time. But he's dipping and dodging and still trying to be around people. Now, like I said, he was well known. The rest of them well known and well established. If you're well known and well established in the streets, guess what? You're well known and well established down at the police department. They know who you are. They know who you hang around with. So now they're watching everybody. And the rest of the crew tells them, look, you need to leave town. Stay gone for a while. We got you. He took that the wrong way. He took that as if they were trying to get rid of him. That's how he took that. So Kevin decides to figure out a way to pay the boy that he beat and ran over the car with a visit. Not to do anything to him, but to try to pay him off so that he wouldn't testify against him. He needs this boy to lie. So he finds him and he drops in on him. And this young dude, he's not grown, but he's not a kid either. He's street though. He understands how this goes. So him and Kevin, they come to an understanding for a lot of bread. And Kevin dropped his money on him. After he goes to the police and he tells them, look, he's not testifying, he don't know what happened, he ain't got nothing to say. So the case basically falls apart. But just to be safe, he still stays out of sight for a while. Now his partners, they're getting suspicious of him now because he's acting too erratic. He's not the person that they know. He's not this bulldog, this pit bull that takes care of the business for them anymore. He's all over the place with his behavior. So what does Kevin do? He starts to get aggressive with his girlfriend because he figures out that he thinks in his mind anyway, that she don't see him as the same person. On his mind is playing tricks on him. So he sees her talking to this guy that's at this car, parked in a car at this car wash. He sees her leaning over on the driver's side talking to this dude, not really paying attention to who this dude is. Right? This is somebody she went to school with. He gets aggressive and pulls up and tells her to get in the car. He goes home and he beats her. She's trying to explain to him she hadn't done anything. But his insecurities are starting to set in. And he don't understand, that all he need to do is go tell the truth to his partners and tell the truth to himself. But in the game, you can't acknowledge those types of feelings. Under no circumstances do you believe that you can acknowledge, man, I'm feeling some kind of way, man, because I ain't getting no attention. Imagine a dope boy coming to tell you that. Imagine a street dude coming to tell you that he's got feelings about something that's going on with the game that y'all all involved in. What you think about it? Right? It's like a killer that's hard 1 minute and the next minute he starts crying. You're looking at him like, wait a minute, what's going on with you? So in Kevin's mind, he's thinking that everybody's playing him weak, even his girlfriend. And he put hands on her. Now she leaves. She ain't taking it. She leaves and then she goes to tell all of his partners what happened. And now they puzzled. They like, what is really going on with him? Ain't none of this making no sense now. So Kevin, she don't go to the police, but he's out and about. And the police happen to see him. And they pull him over. And they take him down to the jail. And they question him about the incident with the young boy that he whooped and ran over in the car with, right? And they tell him that they don't have enough information to arrest him because, you know, the main witness, the victim, is saying that he don't know what happened, he don't know who it was, and all this and that, right? And even though they got somebody that called in to the police and told them the description of the car and all this and that, right? They really didn't have anything beyond that. They wanted to get him and get him good. But they couldn't do it. So after 3 hours of questioning, his crew gets the lawyer down there and they have to cut him loose. If they're not going to charge him, they cut him loose. But they're still watching him. They're still keeping their eyes on him, watching him and paying attention to what he's got going on. But the police are smart, especially those detectives. They hear about all this erratic behavior. So they get a profile done of him. And that profile tells them that he feels insecure. That profile tells them that he's the low man on the totem pole within the little organization that he has with his friends, if you want to call it that. And they play that against him. They pick him up again. And they tell him, we know what's going on. We know you the man. Or you want to be the man. But we don't know if you can stand up to that. But we watching you. They were blowing his head up and then punching it with a pen at the same time. Making him feel like he's somebody, but at the same time taking it back. Making him feel like you smarter than what you put on, but then they would tell him you got to be stupid for the way you act. He don't know which way to go, but they're giving him a little bit and taking it back. So now they tell him, you're going to need us one day. And when you do, you give us a call. And the detective handed him his card. Said, when you need us, you call us. And we're still going to be watching you, though. You'd rather have us as your friend rather than your enemy. And Kevin, he remembered that. Now, you got to keep in mind, his mind is all twisted, all up, all over the place. He got these jealous and envious thoughts towards his crew, the people that have been there for him from day one. He's doing all of these crazy things. He done sold some drugs to somebody, got robbed by somebody, beat up somebody, ran over somebody, and all of this and that because he doesn't know how to deal with all these emotions that's going on the inside of him. He don't know how to be honest with his partners about he wants to be able to do more. He wants to be involved more. He's not as dumb as they think he is, even though they don't think that he's dumb. He thinks he's dumb. He forgets everybody has a role to play. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the crew and he should be allowed to do more. But he doesn't strike out on his own. He wants to do it with them. He wants to impress them. But what they've been doing for years has been working. Why change it? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But he wants a bigger role in the organization. So what does he do? He's sitting around drinking one day. And he gets mad about the situation. Ain't nobody there. His girlfriend is gone. He's in the house all by himself, smoking that weed, drinking that liquor, mind playing tricks on him, and he comes up with a plan. And look here. How many times have you, any of y'all, after smoke weed and drink, and you sit down and you come up with an idea, right, while you under the influence? Was it a good one? Keep it real. Now, I know when I used to smoke weed and drink liquor and I come up with a plan while I'm high, shoot, I'm thinking it's a great idea. Until I come down, and if I can remember whatever it was I was thinking about when I was high, if I remember, I realized real fast, well, that was stupid. Glad I didn't do that. But he didn't do that. His idea was to take over the crew. How you gonna take over a crew of friends? How do you do that? Because you gotta maintain the plugs. You gotta maintain the relationships with all the people in the streets that have gotten used to the other guys in the crew taking care of the business, and they know what your role is, so why would they start listening to you? He comes up with a plan to get rid of all of them so that he could take over. So that he could take over. And I'm going to tell you what that plan is when we come back in this next episode. I'm telling you, this is one for the ages. When jealousy and envy get involved, you'll be surprised at what happens in the streets. These stories you don't hear about anywhere else. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.
I've been trying to breathe underwater.